Our next speaker is Dr. Iain McInnes. Iain is director of the Institute of Infection, Immunity, and Inflammation at the University of Glasgow. He's a professor of medicine there, and he's also chairman of the EULAR standing committees. He did his training, including his medical degree and his Ph.D. at the University of Glasgow. He's had a fellowship at the NIH. He's a founder of the Scottish Collaborative for Arthritis Research, author of numerous book chapters and journal articles, and this morning he's going to talk about translating clinical questions into laboratory answers. Iain.
Good morning, everybody. I'm almost never invited back, and usually I'm invited back to apologize. So for whatever I did last time that went wrong, I'm really sorry. Pam, David, I didn't mean it. And then we had so much fun with the fellows yesterday, and they introduced me to something called tequila. So, and actually that has some resonance. I'm going to come back to that later on this morning. Some of you may know I'm very technically challenged. Oh, this is going to work. That is beautiful. Actually, I should just quickly say to you that it does. This is, of course, Oliver Twist. Charles Dickens. Please, sir, can I have some more? And it's a kind of ungrateful way to start any lecture, isn't it? But somehow we've just had such a beautiful exposition of the psoriatic field from Phil, and he pointed out that there's still a lot of need, and people just accept that. But with rheumatoid, it's different. Somehow the idea is getting out there that rheumatoid is sorted, and there are large pharma companies who are saying, actually, we're not going to develop any more drugs for rheumatoid. And I think this is fundamentally wrong. I think that's it, and I'm going to show you some data which back that up. So, please, sir, can I have some more? Now, what I'm going to do in the next 45, 50 minutes or so is I'm going to start in the past and I'm going to project to the future. I was really privileged to be the visiting professor in Sweden last year for the Swedish Rheumatology Society, and the young fellows in Sweden had invited me as their special choice, and I was honoured and flattered until I realised that they'd invited me because I was the old generation. As I scraped the ice off the car in Monday in Glasgow and headed off to Florida, my older daughter said, "That means you're a Snowbird." So, and she'd been doing her homework. I had to look it up, and I'm not impressed. So, and she's in trouble when I eventually get back. So, but the last 20-odd years have been unbelievable in rheumatoid. It's one of my favourite slides, and I just love the stuff that's up here. But can I just say to the fellows that if you use love on your patients, you will not have a practicing license for very long. So that's for CME purposes. I wanted to be clear about that. Okay. Otherwise, the nice man at immigration won't let me back to the United States. Okay. So that's the past, and I'm going to deal with the present, and just a quick few remarks about the future. It's a dangerous place, and here you are. Here are my favourite future quotes. This is from the chairman of IBM. I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers. Here was the guy that turned down the Beatles. We don't like their sound. Guitar music's on the way out. Getting a little bit more medical, Louis Pasteur's theory of germs is ridiculous fiction, from Pierre Pachet, who became a taxi driver in Toulouse a couple of years later. And then, let's have a go at the surgeons. Wise and humane surgeon. Actually, I have to say I have a problem with the phrase wise and humane and surgeon all in the same sentence. Never mind the lack of predictive power. And finally, Lord Kelvin, who was in fact a Glasgow professor, who was a professor of chemistry and physics in Glasgow University, and his office is just along from where I now reside. And he said, heavier than air flying machines. I'm going to bear that in mind when I'm with Delta later on today. So, okay, so let's see if I can advance this. There we go. So let's get to data. So this is from Debbie Simmons, David Scott, and it's only 25 years ago, quarter of a century. And what they said was, and I want you don't need to read the details, but the bottom line was that rheumatoid was a dreadful disease. And there's a beautiful phrase at the bottom here, that the concept of remission-inducing drugs is fallacious.